Willie D Live.
What's up, family? Charlie Kirk's wife, Erica, was recently on the Turning Point Podcast USA, a podcast that he left behind when he was gunned down by an assassin's bullet on 9/10, one day before 9/11. This while speaking to some college students at Utah Valley University. There are a number of people who are still doubtful that things played out the way they appear to have played out. Many people believe that Charlie Kirk's death was not by a lone wolf. They think that it was a conspiracy to murder Charlie Kirk. And furthermore, there are those who think the wife is somehow involved. Not my words, fam. I'm just saying what I heard. Now, when you go back to the funeral of Charlie Kirk, his wife Erica is speaking, and boy, she's trying very, very hard to get a tear out of that. I mean, those tears was in there, like, let me out of here. Let me out of here. But they never came. You kept waiting for the tears to come, but they never came. There was even a time when Erica forgave Charlie Kirk's killer. Forgave him. That really surprised me. Because Charlie Kirk wasn't like that. He wasn't like a forgiving type of dude. You know, he was like standing on business. Hey, man, you know, he didn't even like the word empathy. Yeah, he did not like the word empathy. He said it so himself. And he also said that, hey, man, every now and then people got to die for us to maintain our Second Amendment rights. But Erica, she was trying, man, but you know, those tears was just inside, like, get me out of here, let me out. The tears would not fall. They would not fall. If I didn't know better, I would think that Erica was... Anyway, fam, and I'm saying not only are people who were suspicious of Charlie Kirk believes that the wife is involved, but even people who supported Charlie Kirk believes that somehow, some way, the wife knows more than what she's letting on. I go back to the embrace of Donald Trump, your president. Remember when Donald Trump embraced her? If you watch the funeral, Donald Trump spoke, and then he called Erica out and he hugged her and then he kissed her all on the cheek. And then we fast forward to now, where just a few days ago, Erica was on a podcast, on the Turning Point Podcast, and she was talking about all of the great things that they got coming up and how they're going to keep Charlie's memory alive and keep his work at the forefront of democracy. They got old pictures and videos and interviews people have never seen, and they're going to release them. And she talked about how excited she was for that. Now, I understand people grieve in different ways. I get that, fam. But the only people I've really seen grieve in that type of way that I seen her grieve was people who were suspected of being involved in whatever person's demise. Yeah, like when I look back at all of those people who had, people say, nah, they don't look right. It normally manifested itself to not be right. It manifested itself that way. You see people that some people can move on like this. Just like that, they move on. I couldn't do it. And here's why. Here's one of the reasons why I couldn't do it. And I'm not just talking about moving on socially. Some people can move on romantically, just like that. Let's start with the romantic part. I couldn't do it because I couldn't do it out of respect if there were children involved. And I couldn't do it out of respect for family members and friends. And I could not do it out of respect for my own legacy, my own integrity. It's just not a good look to lose a loved one, to lose your significant other, and be all hugged up publicly with another person within a year. I don't think that's a good look. Some of y'all may not have a problem with that, but I take death very seriously, and I take loyalty very seriously. And I know there ain't no set time. There ain't no universal time for people to get over grief. I got that. But a year just don't seem right to me. It just don't seem right. It would take me at least a minimum of a year just to process all the things that we've done together. The times, the memories. I'm not even talking about processing the totality of what that person meant to me and our relationship. I'm just talking about just the good times, the bad times, the words that this person said, their smile, their laugh, how they responded in times of crisis or when they were pressured, what they looked like when they were excited, when they felt whole, fulfilled, all of these things, and then that first year is the first year of Christmas without that person, if you celebrate such a thing. Mother's Day or Father's Day, their birthday, their death day, all of these commemorative dates, you're still processing all of that stuff. And so I couldn't do it. On the romantic side, I just couldn't do it. It wouldn't even feel right. In fact, I just would not even be interested. If I'm talking about somebody as my significant other, I ain't talking about something just broad. I'm talking about my significant other, especially my wife. Now, I'm not built to switch up that fast. I'm not built to just go into another relationship that fast. I'm not even built to start even looking at a woman in that type of way. I'm just not built like that. Socially, I could not exhibit excitement. I just can't be excited. I can be hopeful. That's about as much as I can give you, And I can continue to live and do things, but if it's my significant other family, that first year, I'm gonna be a robot. Even if I'm doing the work, I'm gonna be doing the work. I'm getting the work done. But that's a heavy blow. I take that very seriously. That's a heavy blow. It would just be hard for me to say that I'm excited about something, even if I'm carrying on their work. And even if I was to verbalize something like that, within about 2 weeks, about 3 weeks after this person died, about 3 weeks after the person died, I'm talking about how excited I am, and I'm just cheesing and yeah. Now, here's another reason why some people think that the wife is guilty in some kind of way. She's tied up in this because, by her own admission, before she met Charlie Kirk, she was one of those independent women who thought she could do everything on her own, and she was going to have her own money, her own career, and everything. And then when she met Charlie, she fell back. Her beliefs evolved, and she evolved into this traditional woman, right? But deep down inside, any woman who aspires to chase a dream, it's always in the back of their mind. And what better time to pursue that independent, career than after your guy is deceased and you get to walk right into a multi-million-dollar business that he built. People are saying they had similar aspirations. I don't know if that's the case, but that's what the streets are saying. But what say you, fam? Drop a comment. I'd love to hear your thoughts. No more talk.
Where do we go from here? How did we get this way? How do we get this way? How do we go back to yesterday? Where do we go from here? Where do we go now? How did we get this way? How do we get this way? How do we go back to yesterday?
We looking forward but walking backwards. We both wanna win, but we both inaccurate. Two sides, but no one wants to be on.